What if I told you that your story and a lot of that stuff that you're embarrassed about or that you even may feel ashamed about will be one of the main factors that will make everything take off for your online business? Now, look, I've made over 7 figures online in my business with just one digital product doing a little over 900K. And a lot of things started to work in my favor once I started to tell people my story. And I think it's time that you tell your story too. Now, it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to break down how stories sell. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, then by all means, go watch somebody else's story. A good story that you can watch, Mad Max Furiosa. I just watched that the other day. Good revenge story. You got about 20 bucks out of me. But look, right out the gate, you have to understand this about humans. Humans, we are emotional creatures, right? And we buy things off of emotion and then we justify with logic. So, what better way is there to make someone feel something by evoking emotion than telling a story? Now, when I understood this and I understood how this could benefit me as an entrepreneur and benefit me in my business, I was studying Nike because just one of the things that I like to do in my free time is study businesses. I'm like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in business. Maybe I should study other businesses instead of watching a bunch of single people on the internet argue about who should pay the bills and who should pay for dates and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but it makes a little sense to me, right? But here's the thing about Nike and this swoosh right here. Nike does not sell athletic apparel. Nike sells stories. And then their merchandise or their athletic apparel is tied to the stories. Just think about this for a second. And this is even in Nike's USP. If you don't know what a USP stands for, USP stands for unique selling proposition or unique selling point. Nike's USP is, I don't remember it verbatim off the top of my head, but it's something about providing innovation and inspiration to athletes all across the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. So even in Nike's USP, they're saying that they're all about inspiration, which is basically they're in storytelling. A lot of people that think Nike's USP is just do it. Just do it is not a unique selling proposition or a unique selling point. Just do it is a tagline, right? And then their number one competitor, Adidas, their USP is all about comfort, providing comfort that other companies cannot manufacture, can't duplicate, right? And if you've ever worn a pair of Nikes and a pair of Adidas, you know that the Adidas are far more comfortable, but Nikes are more popular. Why? Because they sell stories. So even think of Nike's number one athlete that really put the company on his back and made it to what it is today, Michael Jordan, right? If you go look at any, that J looks terrible. Let me redo that there. If you go back and look at any old Michael Jordan commercials, the ones that really, really hit or the ones that are the most memorable to me because I grew up as a kid in the 90s in Michael Jordan's heyday, they're not the ones that are just showcasing Michael Jordan's talent, or they're not the ones that just show the shoes or show Michael Jordan just flying through the air, all crazy, right? Because Nike, they understood that people would not be able to relate to the physical specimen and the God-gifted talent that Michael Jordan had. They know that we wouldn't be able to jump 45, have a 45-inch vertical and soar through the air in slow motion and have our tongue wagging out and just be so cool. But they knew that we could relate to MJ's story. So they would always tell about how Michael Jordan got cut from his high school team, how Michael Jordan failed at this and failed at that and failed at this. And then he won and started to win championships. The number one Michael Jordan commercial from Nike that hits with me from back in the day when I was a kid, he wasn't even in his uniform. Michael Jordan was in his suit with a trench coat, walking through the hallway in the arena. And he talks about how he failed at this, he failed at that. He got cut from his high school team. He had the ball in his hands this many times with the game on the line and missed the game-winning shot. I failed. And that's why I succeed. Boom. Then it showed the Jumpman logo, right? You know how many people that can relate to that story, that feel an emotion off of Michael Jordan failing and failing and failing and failing and failing his way to success. That story hit with so many people because they're like, oh, I failed. Oh, I haven't succeeded. Oh, if Michael Jordan hasn't succeeded and he's failed so many times, he's just like me. And it builds something that's called a know, like, and trust factor. A know, like, and trust factor with the actual athlete. And then Nike, they put the merchandise behind the story of the actual athlete. Because we buy things from people that we know, like, and trust. And we only know, like, and trust people from hearing their story and how it relates to us, which then triggers that emotion for us, right? And Nike, they do this with all of their signature athletes. Nike doesn't just sell products. Nike sells inspiration, and they deliver that inspiration through their stories. Just use any of their athletes, like I said, Michael Jordan, even Serena Williams. If you go back and you look at any old Serena Williams ads or any old Serena Williams campaigns from Nike, they didn't just show her hitting the ball, right? They showed her as a little girl growing up in Compton and working out with her daddy around gangbangers in Compton, to working out with her sister, to being a young kid with the beads on the braids and winning, and then winning Wimbledon. And then it shows the evolution of her story to becoming this icon, greatest of all time, fashion mogul, sex icon, Serena Williams. They did the same thing with Tiger Woods. They didn't just show Tiger Woods hitting the golf ball. They showed Tiger Woods as a little kid with his dad training, and then they showed the come up of Tiger Woods. And then even in Nike's later promotions of Tiger Woods, once Tiger had a son, they showed that whole evolution, and then they started to show his son Charlie. And Charlie on the tennis course is a exact duplicate of his pops, of Tiger Woods. Without them even trying to, all their mannerisms are the same. Their swing is exactly the same. How they put their hands on their chin and their hips is exactly the same. The follow-throughs are exactly the same. The way that they grunt is exactly the same. They showed that whole story and that whole evolution. So when you can start to tell people your story, this is going to be the thing that makes that money for you. Because remember, people, they buy off of emotion and then they justify with logic. So we need to make people feel something. And a lot of times in our stories that we have, or the things that we've been through, or the things that we've weathered, a lot of times we're embarrassed about those situations. Even if I use myself as an example, things really didn't start to change for me and my product until I started to tell my story, until it started to talk about the things that I was embarrassed about. I started to talk about the things that I was actually ashamed about at one point in my life. Right? I broke my neck. Let me go ahead and throw this picture up. I didn't think I would get to here, but this is me. See this broken person right here? I was lost at this time in my life, and I was making a bunch of dumb, stupid decisions, which led to me being in a hospital bed with a broken neck and a tube sticking through my actual chest cavity because I collapsed my left lung. I lied about how I got in this wreck at the time because I was ashamed and I was embarrassed of how I got into this wreck. I was driving drunk and I was texting, and then I smacked and I hit a tree. Stupid. Wasn't even no other car on the road. And guess what? If you ever smack against a big old tree with a car, that tree, it ain't gonna move. That car gonna move and your body gonna move, but that tree is going to stay, it's gonna stay planted. That tree did not move. Didn't even seem like a scratch was on that tree, but I was broken, right? But in that hospital bed that night, where I have a broken neck, just got out of surgery because they had to do some emergency surgery and stick a tube through my chest cavity, literally push it through my rib cage so it could suck out all this air that had gotten in my chest cavity to collapse my lung. And I'm sitting there in a super quiet hospital room that just has weird beeps and a IV with morphine dripping in my bloodstream. I just asked myself that night, I was like, what am I doing with myself? What am I doing with my life? Like I had been a very disciplined person up until there, and something happened to where I had lost my discipline and I was going astray. And even the crazier thing, the girl that I was texting when I hit the tree, she ain't even come see me in the hospital. Right? But I started to tell that story. And I started to tell that story how that actual night, I started to take ownership. And this is when I just coined this term and I use it for everything. It's my fault. That night, this is where it's my fault happened. I started to take ownership for any and everything, positive or negative, that happened in my life. Because at the root of it, at the end of it, I'm like, it is my fault. I stopped blaming my parents for certain things. I'm like, yo, my parents, they're not superheroes. They're just regular people just like me. They were just trying to figure out all this life stuff just like I'm figuring out all this life stuff. Yo, I don't blame you for nothing. I don't blame old teachers for nothing. I stopped blaming old coaches. I used to play basketball. I stopped blaming coaches for stuff. I stopped blaming systems and jobs and whoever the man is for stuff. Everything's my fault. And there's something powerful about when everything is your fault. You realize that you have the power to create and architect and design anything and everything for you. Because I'm like, if I got myself in this position, then I can get myself out of that position. So I started to tell people that story. Guess what? It started to resonate with people because, yeah, they may not have been out here doing dumb stuff and making terrible decisions and playing bumper cars with trees, but everybody that has had a low. And I didn't realize that thing that I was ashamed about, that thing that I used to lie about, other people related to that off of their own personal lows, right? And then I started to tell the story about how I used to be basically a trash man, right? I used to clean up parking lots at night. That was my little gig, how I used to make money for myself. I used to be ashamed and embarrassed of that. I used to have a sweeper truck with a leaf blower on the back. I would pull up to the parking lot that I'm supposed to clean, blow out the trash from the curb and up under the cars, drive over it with the truck, and then I would have to change the trash bags in front of each store or each strip mall that I had. And this was a disgusting job. Even one night, I remember I was changing the trash bag in front of a Hooters. And when I'm throwing the trash bag on top of my truck so I can drive it around back to the dumpster, some trash can juice hit my upper lip right here. I'm telling you, it is so fucking disgusting to have random trash can juice hit your face. I wanted to vomit. But I used to hide the fact that that's what I did at work because I didn't want other people to be like, oh, he cleaning parking lots. He ain't nobody. He ain't doing nothing. I was embarrassed of that. And it's funny, this Hooters actually, because the Hooters, I knew a couple girls that worked in that Hooters. So when I had to go and change that trash can in front of that Hooters, I used to pull my hoodie real tight or pull my shirt up or pull my mask up to where you really couldn't see my face because I didn't want to take the opportunity of one of those Hooter girls seeing me and be like, oh, look at him. He cleaning parking lots at night. Right? And now looking back on it in retrospect, once I started to tell my story, and I'm not as embarrassed or ashamed of these things anymore because me going through these things made me into who I am today, and they've helped me build the business that I have today. But looking back on it, I'm like, why did I care what these couple chicks that work in Hooters think? They're in no better position than me. They work at Hooters. Why am I trying to hide from them that I'm out here cleaning up trash when they're in here showing they tatas, trying to get some tips at Hooters, right? But I started to tell that story. It resonated with people. And then from that, I said like, yo, from that, cleaning up those parking lots at night, I saved up $1,200. I saved up $1,200 and I packed up my car and I drove across country and I slept on my best friend's floor with a leaky air mattress that before we left, me and my pops were duct taping up the holes. And then I started this whole journey that I'm on today. I started with $1,200 because I Googled average rent. The average rent at that time was $1,200. I'd never been in the real world before, so I saved up $1,200, moved down, got a job. got overworked in that job, was working 60 plus hours per week, fired that job so I could get a regular 9 to 5 with banking hours, and I worked at a bank. The reason why I worked at a bank is because I wanted to learn how money moves, right? But during that time, I had my 9 to 5, but while I was learning how money moved in my 9 to 5, I was working on my business at 5 to 9. Fired my job April 1st. I fired my job April 1st, 2016, without ever making a dollar for myself as an entrepreneur. Ended up building a 7-figure business for myself online, right? And I know that's just a short concept of my story, but these things that I used to be ashamed about, or these things that I was embarrassed about, or these things that used to really hold a weight on me because I used to hide and I used to lie about them. Once I started to talk about what I was doing, and once I started to build a brand for myself online, and once I started to focus on actually solving problems for other people and present to them my solution with my products or my services that I had online, it was the stories that was making everything connect. Because remember, people buy stuff from people that they know, like, and trust. And there's no better way to get somebody to know you, to get somebody to like you, and to get somebody to trust you than to tell your story. And I'm telling you, you will be shocked to find out how many people will relate to your story once you actually start to tell it, and once you focus on helping people through your actual story and be an actual testimony from yourself. Once you do that, that's how you can get numbers coming in online in your business, just like all them that you see on the screen right now. So if you're ready to make more while working less from stuff that you already know with a digital product, go ahead and click the link down in the description and join the It's Crowded at the Top community. For weekly coaching from myself, all of my exclusive trainings, plus a private community of entrepreneurs, all designed to grow your business online. It's only $47 a month to join right now. That's less than a cup of coffee per day. So go ahead and click the link down in the description and tap in, and I'll see you on my coaching call this Wednesday. But your story is what is going to be one of the main driving factors in driving revenue for yourself. And then those things that you've been through, those things that you have accomplished. And I'm telling you, a lot of the things that you have accomplished that you don't think means anything to anybody else in the world, even those little small hurdles that you've overcame, there's somebody right now that has not overcame that yet, or there's somebody right now that is going through it in real time, and they're looking for an example of somebody else. And a lot of people are stuck because they don't see anybody else that has been through the shit, because everybody's just out here trying to look the part and look so special for social media and look so special for YouTube. But when you're just yourself, you're like, yo, here I am. This is what I've been through. I done fucked up. I fucked up at this. I fucked up at that. I was ashamed at this. I was embarrassed at that. But look, that is what will get people to connect with you. And that is what will build that know, like, and trust factor. Because here's the thing. People, they don't want information. People want transformation. This is the key to everything here. Everybody's talking about what they can do, or how they can help, or what my product does, or the how. People, they don't want information. People want transformation. And there's no better way to show your transformation than to actually show your transformation from telling your story. And that's why stories sell. So always think Nike and see how you can take something from them. If they've done made trillions of dollars with it, I was like, okay, I should be able to pluck that. Not saying I'm gonna go make a $1 trillion company, but I should probably at least be able to make like maybe $1 million with it. I don't know. And it worked for me. I'm telling you, it'll work for you. So go ahead and click the link down in the description if you want to tap into the community, and I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. And go ahead and check out this playlist right here for actual true and tried strategies and tactics on how you can grow and scale your business online. It's Crowded at the Top.